Hello all and welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Today we're going to have a little discussion in regards to the difference between immigrant hunger versus people who were born in American hunger. I call it immigrant hunger versus American born hunger. It's a subject matter that I've talked about with a lot of people, from people who have immigrated to the United States and people like myself who were born and raised in the United States of America. And, there's a little bit of differences. I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is usually always the same, but the differences in how one attains and achieves a goal is pretty interesting at the same time. And I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday, and hopefully the weather is nice and sunny if you're on the West Coast or in the Southwest or in the Caribbean or wherever you may reside, because it's like dreary, like Seattle here today, nothing but overcast. So, but anyways, in Northern Virginia. But anyways, we'll get into the topic. What are the differences? Now a great example is, it doesn't matter whether an immigrant was came to the United States with a lot of money or little to no money. Doesn't really matter. And I know a lot of people will say, well, yes, it does. It does matter, Larry, because if you come here with a lot of money, then that means you're going to be set. I was like, nah, that's not necessarily true, because the caveat to that statement is one thing. You have a lot of athletes and entertainers, and especially lottery winners, who end up getting millions and billions of dollars, and they end up wasting it and losing it like that, for the simple reason that they don't have the crazy thing called financial literacy and financial education. They could have a master's degree, but like one of the people I love to listen to, Dr. Claude Anderson, they haven't mastered anything. He says that all the time, and I have to agree with that. So if you don't have financial literacy, you can have all the money in the world, but you could end up broke just like that, because you don't know how to make money work for you. You're just spending the money on nonsense. But that's not the root of this topic, because I could talk about that all day. We're talking about immigrant hunger versus American-born hunger, and it really falls under the great thing that is that people aren't practicing enough, and that's called delayed gratification and living way below your means. The smart thing that I admire that immigrants do all the time is they end up, and it doesn't matter what part of the world an immigrant is from. The individual, or shall I say in this case, individuals will put 6 to 10 incomes together in one house. Okay, just imagine that if you had, instead of 2 or 3 incomes coming into your house, you have 6 to 10 different incomes in your house. That cuts down on, just imagine if you had that in your house today, how that would cut down on the amount of bills that you have to pay. Just think about it. You will end up saving a lot of money. Barely, say if you have a $1,500 mortgage, well, guess what? All those incomes, you probably only have to pay $200 to $300 a month. Think about how much money you could save by only paying $200 to $300 a month for your mortgage or for your rent, and just having to pay 1 or 2 bills outside of that. So just equal it all up to $500 to $600 a month that you have to pay in regards to your regular bills. Something to think about. I mean, I don't know where you live, but if you live in the Washington metropolitan area, as we call the DMV, having to pay $600 a month for rent or for a mortgage, that would be a deal. I think people would be banging on the freaking door in order to get that deal and say, sign me up, especially if they were smart and had financial literacy. The amount of money that they would save, they could do a lot of things with it as far as investing and creating their own businesses. So, that's one thing to look at it, and then compared to born Americans, what do immigrants do? Well, after they combine those incomes, they end up forming action plans and business plans. They live like that for 4 to 5, sometimes 10 years. And then they say, okay, now that we've survived, and now we're at a place where we don't have to worry about surviving anymore. The second thing is, well, let's say, okay, well, I'm working for this specific cleaning company, landscaping company, construction company, financial company, whatever company it may be, trash company. But My boss is a complete total douchebag or douchebags. All my bosses are a bunch of douchebags. And I think that we could form our own company or companies and do the whole thing on our own. And we just charge a cheaper price. And that way we, because that's, yeah, we're in America, it's capitalism. It's all about getting the best deal at the same time, right? So, hey, we cut the prices, we do it for less, and we end up getting up and soaking up a good chunk of the contracts that the big competitors are getting when it comes to any kind of company out there. It's just food for thought. I was like, okay, great. Now that we have that, let's buy a house, or let's buy 2 houses. Let's buy them next door to each other. Boom. Instead of 6 to 7 to 10 people living in a house, in that house you have 3 families. In this house you have another 3 families, and you have 3 different incomes within that specific house. You save your money. You have a house, a bigger place to stay in, so you're living a little bit more comfortable. You might bring somebody else over from the home country, and then just continuously repeat the cycle over and over again. It's a great system. They make it work. It's a crazy thing. Okay. But I digress, because let's remember one thing at the end of the day. Let's just kill the myth that you don't have to have a college degree in anything in order for you to run a business or own real estate. And I'll say it again. You don't have to have a college degree to run a business or own real estate. It does not take a rocket science in order to do that. Okay, you just have to be around the right people who have the right frame of mind, and sometimes at the right time, in order for you to purchase those things and have those things make money for you, so you can not have to worry about struggling and surviving and working so hard for the rest of your life. Because the best way to save money is not only to just utilize Groupon and any other coupons that are out there, because every place has them, because they want you to spend their money at their organization, at their business, etc., and so forth. But if you look at the way immigrants do things, they have 2 to 3 families in the same house, and because of that, they're not only able to just save money by cutting corners with buying food and buying clothes, etc., and so forth, but they're sometimes, in some cases, I've seen this, and I've even talked to people, immigrants who have immigrated to this country, and it might be 4 to 5 families living in a house, but it might only be 2 to 3 cars per household. So think about it. You might see 5 or 6 people in one vehicle going to work. Okay, but guess what that's saving? That's saving them a lot of money. I don't know where you live at, but the price of gas is high. Car maintenance is high, especially now with the newer cars that they're making nowadays. It's harder for people to utilize backdoor alley mechanics anymore, and they have to take it to the shop. They're making it to the point where you have to take it to the shop and pay the outrageous prices to get maintenance done. Okay, so insurance, property tax, gas, maintenance, all that stuff is cut out of the financial equation in their house, because not as many people own cars, and sometimes or if everybody owns a car, then everybody ends up taking turns by taking everybody to work and picking everybody up. Okay, now it might not save time, but it sure is like saving the family, the unit, a lot of money. And that is just one crazy thing, especially if you live in an area where there's an easy pass. In most metropolitan areas, there is some sort of an easy pass. This kills the time you have to sit in traffic. So that, to me, if you never have to sit in traffic, that increases your quality of life. So you don't have to sit in traffic. You don't have to pay. And in our area, in the easy pass, you can have, if you have 3 or more people in the vehicle, you can get on the easy pass without having to pay. So you're saving yourself time and money. It's a crazy thing how that works out. So that's another less thing you have to worry about, And a lot of times, even in the family, if they only have one car and everybody else has to end up taking the bus, or they have to walk, or they have to ride a bike, you're still saving money, because owning a car costs you a lot of money nowadays, especially if you're not an Uber driver or a Lyft driver, because then it's costing you money, but it's making you money all at the same time. So that's just some food for thought when it comes to that. But the key, what I'm really getting at the end of the day, is a crazy word called sacrifice. Not just being frugal, not just living below your means, but sacrifice. What sacrifices are you willing to make and continuously willing to make to take yourself financially to another plateau in life? If you're always spending your money on crap and you're not cutting expenses, but you're continuously gaining expenses that have nothing to do with making you a better person financially at any level. just food for thought, because the biggest problem we have nowadays that I see, is that a lot of people want to own real estate or they want to own their own business, but they're not really willing to make the reasonable sacrifices in order to get to where they want to go, because they're more hell bent on trying to floss and look good in front of somebody like they're still in the 9th grade. Guess what? This is not Zach Morris, Saved by the Bell. Nobody cares what you look like and nobody cares where you live. You're not going to sit at the cool kids table. Sorry. Anyways, that's just my crazy humor. It is what it is. Because in this country, United States of America, I'm not going to speak for others, but I'll speak for the United States of America. You not only have a student loan crisis, we not only have a credit card crisis, but guess what we have? A childcare crisis. And those of you who are parents, you know what the heck I'm talking about. Through the research, most parents nowadays, both of them have to work outside the house. Okay. That's a given. They have to work outside the house. The beautiful thing that I admire about immigrants is the majority of the time they have the elders, whether it's the grandmother, grandfather, or it might be a member of the family. They have them babysit the child. Okay. And that saves them a heck of a lot of money on childcare. But people will talk bad about a bunch of people living in a house. But hey, everybody, and I mean everybody, is contributing something to that house. It goes back. It's not even down. I'm not downgrading or saying nothing bad. I admire it. It's going back to the good old days of when people lived in a village. It takes a village mentality, and that still exists today. It really does. Because guess what? With people who have that, it takes a village mentality, they end up owning stuff. But anyways, back to the childcare cost. From the research I did not realize that the average childcare costs people about $2,224 a month. And if you add that up, you do the math, that's $26,000, $688 a year. That's somebody's salary. That's somebody's rent and mortgage that could be getting paid with that kind of money. With that kind of money, you could buy into a freaking franchise. And if you're spending that kind of money on childcare, I'm just like, what the heck is going on? And if you have a bunch of kids, I can just only imagine. You're not getting yourself ahead of the game. You're keeping yourself way behind the game. It's insane, but it's just food for thought. Immigrants, they have the big family unit and they don't even have to worry about childcare. It's not even in their vocabulary. It's something to think about, because I could do a lot with an extra $26,000 a year, but that's just me. I can't speak for you. All that could go into not only a franchise, it could go into buying a property, and then you can rent that property out and have that money work for you. Crazy thing. And all the money that's spent on that property, it's tax deductible. Crazy, right? Get a bigger tax return, not only having kids, but having businesses hand in hand. You're killing it. You're getting so much back from Uncle Sam. It's a beautiful thing. But anyways, so all I can say is, we as American-born people, if we could just adopt a lot of the ways that immigrants from all over the world think when it comes to money and family, and keeping the family and community, hence the word community, units together, then we could do a lot of things in a better, and we'd be in a better place financially just by utilizing a lot of those methods that people who immigrate to the United States use. It's a survival / hustlers mentality, and it's on point and it's on the money, and that's why they have it. And a lot of us American-born people don't have it because we are too snooty and can't wait to look down on somebody because they're not living, quote unquote, as the Westernized standards of the Europe and the United States of America. It's crazy. Because with that $26,000. You could be putting it into something that gives you that good old ROI, return on your investment. And that's always sweet music to my ears, because when I invest in something, I want to get a return on it in a big freaking way. But that's just my opinion, And the key to return on an investment strategies is because the key to it is, you got to remember, if you live in the United States, you're in a capitalistic society. It ain't going anywhere. No matter what, no matter who the president is, no matter who runs Congress, no matter who runs your state, everything that every state, local, and federal government agency has in common is one thing: capitalism, money. Okay, that's how the game is played. Now in this country, you're not valued by your degree. You're valued by how many assets you have and not liability. So you can have the nice master's degree, big house, and big fancy car that's equals to sucking away at you from a mortgage perspective, car payment perspective, and a student loan perspective. Those all turn into liabilities and not assets. It'll get you by, but they're not really assets. Just my opinion. You know, maybe at one time they were, but now they've turned into liabilities, because if it's not producing and it's only consuming, then trust me, it's a liability, not an asset. But don't have to take my word for it. Do your own research, you know, because when you go to the bank for a loan, whether it's for any kind of loan, the first thing they want to know is not only what do you make, but do you have any other assets? You know, especially if you're going in there for a business loan, because they don't want to give you a business loan if you don't have any collateral, you know, and sometimes just having a house isn't the only collateral that they'll accept anymore, you know, because the banks own enough houses. Food for thought, you know. And this topic came to me because I talked to this one nice gentleman at my job who owns his own company. I'm not going to mention his name, but, you know, he's from El Salvador, real nice guy. Talk to him all the time. I practice my Spanish with him. He laughs at me because obviously with my American accent, but like, órale, ven acá. ¿Qué pasa, amigo? No pasa nada? Está bien. Necesito muy borracho esta noche. And he just be laughing at me. I'm just basically saying, yeah, I want to get drunk tonight. But anyways, just kidding around. It's a joke. Have a sense of humor, people. But anyways, my man's from El Salvador. He immigrated to this country 16 years ago, and he lived in a 2-bedroom, one bathroom apartment for almost 5 years with 13 other people. That's some rough living. But he told me he did, you know, this happened first it was for survival purposes, because that's what everybody within the apartment and the family was trying to do. I mean, it wasn't just people in his family, but they were friends, and then just people that they just ended up becoming friends with. But they all didn't have to live that way, but they did it because they knew that living below their means was going to get them in a better place financially. So it ended up being survival at first, and then it ended up being, okay, now we're somewhat middle class. And then from being somewhat middle class to, okay, we're going to stay this way for another couple of years in order for us to form our own businesses and for us to buy an actual house, put a down payment on a house. So they put down payments on businesses, a business and a house, and then once the business was successful, they were able to form another business, etc., and so forth, and they were able to buy another house. You know, because not only that, they not only grew their money, but they grew their assets. By having a business, it meant more than having a high-paying job. Crazy thing, but it does work. And because of that, all those people that lived in that 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, they own multiple businesses and they own multiple houses now. And it's thanks for them to sacrificing living at their means or above their means, and for a time period in their lives, and now the dark days turn into real nice days, and they're enjoying every moment of it. And you know, that's the way to do it, in my personal opinion, especially if you want to own something that that is an asset or can become an asset. You know, so before I end this video off, moral of the story is, at the end of the day, if you are willing to live below your means or way below your means and make the sacrifice, hence the word sacrifice, then you could open up so many doors for yourself and obtain so many assets and not liabilities that it'll make the person with the nice house or fancy car, but the mountains of debt, be very jealous of you and be like, how'd you do it? And like, I just thought like a person who immigrated to the United States with nothing, and I started living way below my means. So that's it. Hope you guys liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up, and just remember, it's just food for thought. Never judge a book by its cover, and always remember, it's a hustler's world out there. It always has been, always will be, and it's nothing you can do about it except try to be a hustler before you get hustled. All right, take it easy.